Hey guys, my name is Hannah and today I'm going to be talking about We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I loved it so much, but there's only one thing. If you have not read it yet, go into it knowing nothing at all, please. But if you're going to go into it, just read this very, very vague description on the back and go into it just like that. That is the way that I read it. I knew nothing at all apart from the fact that my friend loved it and it was amazing. So please, I beg you, I have warned you, if you stay any longer than right now, you are going to be spoiled. A lot. Like a lot. Yeah, that's not what you want. So go away now and read the book. It's really short, it's only 225 pages in this version of it. Read it and then come back and we can talk about it together. Goodbye. Go away. Hi. Okay, so I'm assuming that if you're here, you have read the book. You've read the book, haven't you? You have. Yes? Yes. Okay, good. I warned you. If you're still here and you haven't read it, go away. Okay, so let's start with the writing in this book. I absolutely loved the way this book was written. It's such a short book, but it felt like it was taking forever. Not in a bad way, it felt like it was so much longer than it was. I'm surprised that such a tiny book has such a big effect. I've never read anything else by E. Lockhart. I don't know if this is her writing style in general or if it's just this book. When I was first reading it, I had to keep flipping back to the map and to the family tree because there were a lot of people. I got about halfway through and I could read it without having to look back. Because there are a lot of characters and obviously the different houses, the layout of the island, I kept looking back, but that didn't really bother me. The family tree helped a lot. Also, Cadence as the narrator, everything that we see is from only her viewpoint and it's all very blurry and hazy, and I didn't really realise that until I'd finished and I really thought about it. You don't hear from anyone else apart from Cadence, and obviously she's had this head injury, so it's really not very reliable. I really liked that was how it was written because it means that we can really get into her head and see how she was seeing everything else. We were with her as her memories resurfaced and as she was figuring out the truth. It was very new, and when I first read a couple of pages, I could tell from the very start that I would really enjoy it. Speaking of the start, I think this got quite a few people confused. Cadence is talking about when her dad left her house, her family, he left her and her mum, and then she says here, "Then he pulled out a handgun and shot me in the chest. I was standing on the lawn and I fell. The bullet hole opened wide and my heart rolled out of my rib cage and down onto the flower bed.
Blood rushed rhythmically from my open wound, then from my eyes, my ears, my mouth. It tasted like salt and failure. The bright red shame of being unloved soaked in the grass in front of our house, the bricks of the path, the steps of the porch. My heart spasmed among the peonies like a trout."
And then her mum's like, "Get up, come on, hurry up, get yourself together." At first I was reading it like, what is going on? Like, what? I was like, wait a second, she's dead? The way that her emotions are written is used that same way throughout the book. So then when we get to part 5, Truth, and she starts talking about the fire, I was like, oh, there's our Cadence back in again with those messed up metaphors. So I keep reading, because it wasn't stopping, it just kept going and going. I was like, wait a second. And so I messaged my friend, Charlotte, please tell me that Gat, Mirren, and Johnny are not dead. And she was like, no, they're dead. What? I'm the kind of person who never, ever, ever sees stuff coming in a book. This was a complete shock on me. I didn't even know there was a plot twist. But I think, okay, let me just show you this. It's kind of stupid because at the very top, they have the reviews and it says, "and delivers a satisfying but shocking twist ending." Why would you tell someone that there is a twist ending? Because then they're constantly looking out for it and they're just thinking, what could the twist ending be? What could the twist ending be? I quite like the fact that I don't see things coming because it really adds to it. The whole impact of the book is a lot stronger. Anyway, so being clueless completely threw me at the end. But then when I finished, I started thinking about it and I was talking to my friend, we were messaging each other. All the little pieces and clues and connections started to come together in my head. So here are just a few of them. So when Cadence went out on a boat with Mirren, she went to the town and they took the boat. And then when she got back, her mum was telling her off and she was saying, "I told you not to go into the boat by yourself." When I was reading it, I was seeing it as if she's not allowed to go without an adult. It's obviously because Mirren is dead. Also, when Cadence couldn't sleep, she went downstairs and she saw Carrie. Carrie was talking about how Johnny would come downstairs in the evenings when he couldn't sleep. And then in the morning, Cadence went to Carrie and said, "Oh, did Johnny come downstairs?" And she said, "I have no idea what you're talking about." As I was reading it, I was thinking, oh, it's because it's in front of their granddad. The granddad isn't a nice person. She didn't want him to know that they couldn't sleep and they were stressed out and stuff. So I thought that was the reason why, but it's obviously because she genuinely has no idea what she's talking about, because how could Johnny come downstairs if he's not even alive? The fact that Johnny and Mirren never replied to Cadence's emails when she was sending them when she wasn't on the island, I didn't really think too much into that. I just thought, well, maybe they're just annoying friends. Cadence had had that thing where she would give something away each day, and when she said to Mirren, "Did you get the doll that I sent you?" Mirren said, "No, I didn't. I'm assuming my mum put it in the back of the closet where she put all my other things." And this whole family's messed up, so I don't really think too much into it. Maybe her mum's just being really horrible. But obviously, if Mirren had died 2 years beforehand, it would be really painful to look at all those things, but she wouldn't want to get rid of them, so she'd move them all to the back of the wardrobe to have them there, but obviously not on display because it would hurt if your child had died. You wouldn't want to have to look at their things every single day. That's where she would have put the doll as well. Also, in the house that they were all staying in, the Liars. Don't know why they're called the Liars, but they're called the Liars. I forgot which one it was, but the parent had moved out and moved into Claremont with Harris and the twins and just the little children. I just thought that was because it's obviously been renovated, they wanted to get into the new house, but it was because it would be lonely and it's a memory of children who were there that aren't anymore. The reason that they're in the house is because there's no one there. The reason why it's so messy and not been tidied up is because obviously they're dead, they're not real. I don't know, when I thought back on that, I was like, that's so weird, because obviously that house was actually abandoned. And then when Cadence's mum was asking her why you're spending so much time over there, she didn't really reply, but it's obviously her mum was worried because that house is abandoned, why is she spending so much time there by herself? Also, when Taft said that the house was haunted, but I'll get more into that later on when I'm discussing something else. When Cadence first arrived on the island, she looked over at them and they didn't come rushing to her straight away, and I found that very strange, but as I said before, the whole family, the whole situation is very strange, they're not normal. So I didn't really think too much into her, just thinking, oh, not very nice, but fine, whatever. And also, they all look the same. And that's obviously because they died when they were 15. And the last time Cadence saw them was when she was 15. So they all look exactly the same as the last time she saw them. Also, the bit when they're going to the cliff, Johnny and Gat jump off the cliff and into the water and they're like messing around. And then as soon as Cadence starts to climb up to jump off, they're all like, please don't. Miriam breaks down into tears. Gat and Johnny are trying to persuade her, like, please, please, please come down. We really want you to come down. I tagged that page because that wasn't like my favourite scene. But then when I finished it and I found out that they were jumping off because they couldn't die. And they didn't want her to jump because she could seriously get hurt even more than she already was from obviously the fire. She wasn't listening because she didn't know that they were dead. She was thinking, if they can do it, why can't I? Just because I have a head injury, just because I get these migraines doesn't mean I'm completely incapable. So she wanted to show her strength and she wanted to jump off just like they did. But obviously she could have seriously hurt herself. Then Mirren is there breaking down completely. She's really ill. She feels like going home. She's crying. She's screaming, shouting, please come down. We shouldn't have brought her here. We shouldn't have brought her here. Thinking back on it, it just makes me love that scene even more. The complete emotion that they all had, they were all very stressed out. They were thinking, what have we done? She's going to get hurt. Why do we bring her here? She might jump. She could die. The fact that she didn't know that they were dead, and it was just... whoa, completely threw me when I realised it. It's all very intricately weaved together. It's very interesting to think back on it, so I'm 100% going to read this again. There's going to be way more of these connections that I'm going to find. Obviously, I can't read it the same way that I did the first time ever again, but it's going to be reading it from a completely different viewpoint, so it's going to be, in a way, like reading a completely different book. But I've got a very long TBR, so I have no idea when I'll be able to reread it, but I really, really want to because it's going to be really cool to read it again, I think. On to other things in the book. I really liked the short stories with the 3 princesses and the king because they represent her granddad and her mum and her 2 aunties. I like how she wrote her own versions of the stories and it kind of mirrored her own life, and I thought that was really interesting. I really enjoyed reading them. They were really short, so it didn't take up too much time. Also, when Mirren was saying that she was ill, I was trying to figure out why. How was she this ill? It could have been something to do with the same accident that Cadence had, or I was thinking maybe she's pregnant, she keeps throwing up, but I never thought that it would be because she's dead. I tagged this page when Cadence has remembered all of her memories and she's speaking to her mum, and this conversation broke my heart. Okay, it's chapter 83 at the very end, and Cadence says,
Sorry, I know you want me at the house for breakfast, and her mum says, you don't need to say sorry. Really, you don't ever have to say it, Caddy.
Just made me so sad. By the end of this book, I just tears streaming down my face. I was awful. And that bit's so sad because her mum's obviously, after everything that's happened, her family doesn't want her to say sorry and they forgive her even though she's the only one who made it out of the accident alive. Okay, let's talk about their stupid plan to set this house on fire. I was reading it like, are you dumb? Person in the basement. How stupid do you have to be? Someone in the basement, trapped there, with 3 floors above them. Cadence is on the ground floor, and I was thinking, okay, Cadence is most likely to escape this house fire. And then someone on the top 2 floors. Couldn't you have all got together? I don't know, I understand if you want to separate to pour gasoline all over the house, but wouldn't you use your brain to come together before you set the house on fire? I understand even a little bit, if you were all on separate floors, trying to get gasoline everywhere with a plan and a code word, to get together before you set the house on fire and to make sure everyone is out of the house, and then you accidentally set it on fire. I don't know how that would work, but if it did happen, sure, fine, I ish understand. But Cadence set it on fire without even checking that everyone else was out the house. I understand that they're kids and maybe they didn't really think it through, but they're older than me right now. They were 15 and 14. Even I know not to do that. If you're going to set a house on fire, do it correctly. Or at least attempt to use your brain to do it right. You know? Made me a bit mad because this whole situation could have been prevented, but nope. I don't even know why, but I loved Johnny so much. Johnny was just he was just there. I don't even, I loved him. He was my favourite character. Don't ask me why. Who knows why I love him, not me. Gat, on the other hand, kind of made me mad because he was constantly playing with Cadence's feelings and he was a bit stuck up in a way. I could kind of look past, I understand that he was thinking about how the granddad hated him because he wasn't, white. I mean, he kept on getting angry at Cadence for it and I'm like, it's not her fault, she's got an awful family, okay? And also, he was playing with her feelings, but this depends, I'm getting on to the end bit now, this depends on how you see it. When I was reading it, I only saw it as Gat, Mirren and Johnny were ghosts. Thinking, okay, they're ghosts, they spent all this time with her and then they've said goodbye and they have to go because it's taking up too much energy and they're getting ill. It didn't even occur to me that people could see it as hallucinations. And that just makes this already awful situation even more grim and miserable. If they were hallucinations, let's say, that means Katie never got to say goodbye to them, she never got to have a final conversation with them, she made up the whole thing about Gat giving her the flowers and the swing. It makes it so much more tragic and that's so sad. So I like to think of it as they were ghosts. The thing that I'm using to back this up is that Taft said that their house was haunted. And this might just be the window thing, Katie said at the beginning, and maybe I'm just stretching a bit too far for this, but it's a lot more happy if you think of it as they were ghosts. Well, as happy as you can really get when 3 kids have died and this one girl is left with really bad brain damage. I want to think of it as ghosts, but now my brain is saying they were hallucinations, and that just makes me really sad. But yeah, I guess that is it for this book talk. If you, when you finish reading this book, had spotted any more connections other than the ones that I mentioned, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, but write spoiler before you write it in case any idiots who I already warned not to look for anything about the book decide to go into the comments of this video. Just kind of leave a little spoiler thing to let them know, you know? And yeah, I hope you enjoy and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!